What's going on, everybody? It's EricRayweather back here, and in today's video I'm going to be giving you my final overall review of the Madden 20 gameplay based on the closed beta that happened this weekend. Now, for those of you that I have to keep saying this for because I still keep getting comments, I can't show new gameplay footage. It's not allowed. The footage you see is previously released footage from EA. That's all I'm allowed to show right now. Now, also, I didn't just want to do this video off only my impressions, because what I did was I looked around. I talked to about 30 different people, you know, competitive players, sim players, casuals. I looked at the feedback forums, and what I've really gathered is about 90% of people who played the beta, for the most part, feel exactly the same way about the game and the state that it's in. There are a few things that people are split on, but for the most part, they all feel the same way. Now, that's not to say that the other 10% of people that feel differently are wrong, people that don't like the gameplay or don't think it's improved enough. That doesn't mean that those people are wrong. Everybody judges the game through their own lens. That's why I always tell people, rent the game before you buy it. Make your own decision, because you're the only one that can decide if the game is worth your money, not anybody else, nor should they. So what I'm going to do in this video is, all I could say is the information that I'm putting out there is this is what the far majority of people who have played the beta, this is how they feel. So, number one, also keep in mind that, you know, it is a beta. It's going to change by the time it releases. Madden 19's beta was not the same as the Madden 19 release. So people saying that this is the finished game, people are going to say that to say it, but the truth is things will be tuned. Some things will get better and some things will probably get worse. That's just what happens. And for people that are saying it's the same as Madden 19, it's the same game, it might look the same outside of the scoreboard. I give you that. The crowd, the sidelines are all the same. I didn't see any new presentation things, although a lot of that stuff is added in the final build, so I don't know. But I just didn't see any new presentation type stuff. But the gameplay is completely different. Completely different. Anybody that says Madden 20 plays like the previous year's Madden is either misinformed or they are lying to you, flat out. It is a completely different game from a gameplay perspective, nothing like the previous years at all. Madden got to a dark place the last few years, in my opinion. 20 did what I expected it to do. It finally got its head above water, is what I think. It's a very fun game to me. It's a much better playing game, but it's not without its issues. Some of the legacy issues still exist. Anybody that was expecting 20 to right all the wrongs was really just being unrealistic, because no sports game rights all its wrongs in the next version of the game. There's always legacy issues, there's always still problems, but Madden took a big step forward, which was what I expected it to do based on the beta. If the game were to stay exactly like this all year, like the beta was, I think I would be really happy with it. Still has some issues, but I would be happy. It's fun to play. I feel that there is a reasonable skill gap, and I feel that it's reasonably balanced. Now, I'm going to talk about briefly good things, bad things, and I'm going to talk about franchise as well at the end for people that want to hear that, because I did spend a lot of time with that. Some of the things are going to be rehashing the things I talked about in the other video, because I have to kind of restate how I feel about them. I changed my opinion on certain things. I noticed new things, but a lot of things I feel the same about. So, talking about the good first, just to briefly say it again, player movement is knocked out of the park. It is great. You have so much control in the run game, on offense, on defense, usering, clicking on, intercepting. You have more control this year than I feel like you've had in all the previous years, at least on this gen. That alone makes the game better than previous years, because it's such a big component to the game, and they finally got it right, in my opinion, and pretty much everybody else's opinion. This is probably the best player movement, at least on this generation, for sure. It's that good. That in itself is just home run. Pass rush is good. I don't think it needs to be touched. It's going to be an adjustment period. It is faster. You have to get the ball out quicker, but it's good for the game. I will say that the superstar players really matter in terms of pass rush. If you have a defensive line that doesn't have superstar pass rushers, you're not going to notice that it's that much better. But when you have a superstar edge rusher or like a Aaron Donald in the middle, you notice that those guys get to the QB much faster. So in my opinion, like, I wouldn't want to play with a team that doesn't have a superstar on the line somewhere, because it definitely matters. Like, the above average pass rushers don't seem much different from the regular pass rushers, but all of the superstar pass rushers seem head and shoulders better than everybody else, which they should. But the intermediate guys don't feel like they're much better than the lower guys, in my opinion. But if you're in franchise, you're going to want to acquire one of these pass rushers. If you're an ultimate team, you're going to want to get one on your team. And if you're playing in regs, you know, at least half the teams have a superstar pass rusher. You're going to want to get that on your team for sure. The abilities are cool. They definitely take over the game in a little kind of a way. Not the X Factor ones. Those you don't activate that much. They're really not much to be concerned about. They're cool when you get them, but they don't happen that often. The regular abilities, they make those players feel special but also play better. For example, Tom Brady is the best quarterback in the regular game because of the abilities he has. He has abilities that other QBs simply don't have, and I would say it's unrealistic in the sense that he shouldn't be the only guy with some of these abilities, but I appreciate the fact that they finally found a way to at least make Tom Brady feel special. There's a big advantage to using Tom Brady that you don't even get when using somebody like Mahomes. But using the Pats as a team, you still have other disadvantages because they don't have a superstar pass rusher, for example. So the abilities are going to change how you play the game. You're going to want to play with certain teams or acquire certain players based on your play style. But it's balanced in the sense that where one team is going to excel in one area, the other team is going to excel in a completely different area. So there is a counterbalance to it. You know who you're going against. If you're going against Tom Brady, you know that he's going to have better blocking. He's going to be able to do more with his wide receivers. But if you're playing with the Rams, you're going to get better pass rush than you're going to get than if you played with the Patriots. So overall, I like the abilities. They make players feel special. They're fairly balanced in my opinion. But in terms of like people having certain things, yes, I think certain people should be able to have, or multiple people should be able to have certain abilities, but they've excluded certain things from certain players in order to make other players feel special and stand out. The QB animations are really good. The trajectories are good. They're not perfect, but they're a big step up. You can really drop the ball into better windows, tighter windows over the linebackers' heads. You can lead receivers into open space from much further out. You don't have to wait for them to hit a certain spot to the field. You could really lead them there with the trajectories. The animations look very, very spot on for the big name QBs. All good stuff there. Usering is fine. LBs are definitely nerfed. The linebackers, like you could be trailing a wide receiver a couple yards behind with the linebacker. Any previous year, you're jumping up and picking it. Now, you can safely throw that ball and they can't get up there and pick it off. You can drop the ball in there. Now, you can click on and swat with them, which again, that's fine. If they can swat the ball, that's fine, but they shouldn't be able to pick it off. You can still get picks with linebackers. I did, but you had to really sell out on a route and be right up on it to get it. You couldn't commit to one route and then halfway through the play try to recommit to the second route. You wouldn't get there close enough in time to be able to get an interception animation, which was good. Defensive backs were better as users because they have a little bit more agility. They can jump a little higher, so they're going to get better, animations than the linebackers do. Animation quality is improved across the board. Are there still like some warping issues at times? Absolutely, it still happens, but a lot less than previous years. That's the thing. I think some people, when they judge the game, if they see a warp happen, every once in a while, or they see, an overpowered animation, a two-man animation, like an aggressive catch, where it takes the control away from you. They see those happen a few times and they just say, well, the game's still trash because this is still in the game. But they're not looking at the fact that it's happening a lot less and that the overall animation quality is improved. Again, you're not going to get these things perfect. They have definitely, it shows that they put work into the animation quality. It's better, but yes, there are still occasions where the control gets taken out of your hands. It's going to happen, I think, in any game you play. Happens to me in NBA 2K all the time, but overall, I still think NBA 2K has good gameplay, and that's how I'm feeling about Madden right now. There are new juke animations you will see when you play. If you time a juke right, they're really cool. Like your running back will juke and like duck his head under the linebacker who's trying to tackle him, like duck under his arms. Sometimes he'll juke one way and then use his hand that doesn't have the ball and he'll put it on their shoulder pad and like push the defender to one side while he's juking to the other, like just kind of pushing the guy out the way. Stuff you see happen in real life. It's really cool. It's all timing based though, which is fine. QB running is good when you pull the icons down. If people are not respecting a fast QB with spies and contained, you can really use that to your advantage and you can get that speed right away and take off. I will say that the QBs that had the escape artist ability, I noticed that they could avoid contained sometimes because of their agility. Maybe that needs to be tuned a little bit, but it wasn't too bad. It felt special with the special QBs, but the whole like running around trying to throw off your back foot type stuff, that's gone because the windup even is just so long on that it's almost impossible to get it off when you try to do that. So they really, the QB running and scrambling all together is just really feels so much better. Man defense is good. It's better than zone actually. We'll see if they tune that. Clint said he likes where it is, but I mean, I remember last year the Madden 19 had good zone on the beta, and then the final game didn't. But man defense is good. The double moves can still get open on man, but man press overall is playing really solid. Playbooks were good. There's so much new stuff. The RPOs are good. Certain RPOs feel a little buggier, a little overpowered, but overall, I think for the first year, they really got the RPOs down pretty good. It can use some tuning, but I think they did a pretty solid job on the RPOs. But there's all the new trick plays and the jet sweeps, and the playbooks have a lot of stuff to sink your teeth into. Now, the bad, For me, zone defense is the worst part, but the community is really split on this. A lot of people like it, a lot of people hate it. The deep zones are okay, they just don't play corner routes as good as I'd like them to. Cloud flats aren't really good at all. They don't seem to play anything particularly well. They give up too much in the flats, but they don't defend corners well either. Yellow zones from linebackers specifically are really bad. Like, you could throw a slant or like an angle route out of the backfield to a running back. You could throw that at a linebacker all day and they just will not play it. Granted, the linebackers we were playing with on head-to-head, we had limited teams to play with. None of them had really good linebacking cores in terms of like being coverage linebackers, but you can throw underneath really easy this year, I will say that. Like, if someone's not usering and sitting on a route, you can throw like quick slants and running back routes out of the backfield pretty consistently with not much pushback from defense. The windups for QBs, they're fine on the longer passes, but on the short, like drag routes, I think they need to be sped up a little bit. There's just too much of a windup to throw a drag, and that goes hand in hand with the pass rush. That's why people are getting sacked a lot. I think they need to speed that up. But what I want to say is when you take the windups, the pass rush, the usering, and the zone defense as one thing that kind of put it together, all those things work off of each other. I think it's fairly balanced. Like, if you tighten up the zones and make them play better, you need to kind of adjust all that stuff, because with the pass rush, you have to get the ball out quicker. With the windups, you have to, your passes are a little delayed. So now if you make the underneath zones too good, then you can't move the ball. So I like that the short passing game is now back. So in that sense, I would say leave the zones alone. But yes, there were some instances where I had a zone right in front of a slant and he just would not put a hand out and even try to defend it. So I'm a little mixed on that one now, because I feel like the balance is there, but it's there at the at the expense of some of the zones playing better. The no huddle, I think, needs to be fixed. It's just too fast. People are gonna hate it. I hate it. The team is automatically lined up after a no huddle. I think they need to find a way to make the no huddle a little slower. No huddle should be a disadvantage for the defense, but it's too much of a disadvantage the way they have it right now. Pass leading needs a little bit of work. I think there's just a bug with the pass leading abilities that some QBs have. Those guys were sailing. I don't think it was too often for me, but I heard a lot of people complain about that, and I did see it happen a little bit. I think that particularly is just a bug, so that shouldn't be much of an issue to tackle. It's hard to tackle in the open field. Some people like this, some don't. I don't particularly like it just because I feel this is the one area of the game where this is the one area where I feel like my user control is sometimes taken out of play, because some people are saying, well, it's hard to tackle in the open field in the NFL, and I completely agree. But there were some instances where I felt like I really was in good position, especially on juke moves, and I just could not, it didn't matter. I couldn't make a tackle. So I think that could be tuned a little bit, but the juke moves are really good this year. I think they're better than the spins. The jukes are really clean, and it's hard to tackle someone when they juke. So I think they should just tune it a little bit, because I felt like there were instances where I should have got a tackle and I didn't. The blocking overall still has issues that are legacy issues. The halfback blocking in particular is not good, but the blocking I think is still improved. But saying it's improved doesn't really say the whole story, because blocking has been really bad in Madden the past, so a few years, right? It's been bad. So it is improved, but it definitely still needs a lot of work. But you can run the ball very good in this game, I feel like. Especially, this is another positive, is the trenches. Like, if you have a lot of DBs on the field, you can actually run the ball down someone's throat now with an inside zone or a dive. I was destroying people on this, and I suck at running the ball, and I felt like I could actually run the ball in this game, because if you didn't respect the trenches, I was being able, especially with the player movement being good, I was able to weave in and out of those holes so nicely. I really like what they did in terms of that, but blocking overall, yes, it still has some issues. Now, I'm going to say this, gameplay-wise, if it's, like I said, if it stayed like this all year, I'd be happy with it. This is good. There's skill gap, there's balance. It's not without its issues, but it's way better than what we've had. I'll say this, if you play Madden every year, I think you're going to like Madden 20. If you're a person that plays every few years, I think you're going to like Madden 20, because it's better than what you've been playing. But if you're a person that's more of like an all-pro football 2K8 style, yes, Madden 20's improved, but I don't know if it's going to be where you, like, if you're that type of player, I don't think it's going to be where you want it to be yet to say you're going to commit to playing this game. That's just my opinion. I think that this game has a very NCAA 14 feel to it in terms of gameplay. It's the flow of it, the smoothness, the control, the short passing game. It feels very NCAA 14-ish, and I know a lot of people really praise that game, so if you like the gameplay of NCAA 14, I don't see why you wouldn't like Madden 20's gameplay. Now, franchise mode, really quickly. Is it better than 19 and 18? Yes, it's better because by default it has more stuff. It does have the scenario engine, has the Pro Bowl. Contracts seem better, progression seems better. The addition of abilities in franchise mode is really fun, like trying to acquire those players with abilities, or when you draft a guy, like I drafted a tight end and halfway through the year he got a X Factor ability and he was just like this he progressed really fast. Like he went from, you know, a 78 overall to like an 87 overall in, you know, by the end of the year because he was just that good of a player that I wound up snatching up. Really fun. I will say the scenario engine felt very bland though. I think that feature is going to be better for the career mode, just because being a player just seems like it's going to have more options for you. It was really bland in franchise mode. I don't know if it was the full version of it. I know that they said they're going to update scenarios throughout the year, that franchise is going to get that live content now with scenarios, but what they presented to us in the beta was bland and it got old quick, and it wasn't what I thought it would be. So, is the franchise better? Yes, but if you're, same thing, if you play every year, are you going to enjoy Madden 20's franchise better than 19? Yes, you will. But if you're a person that plays the older, like NFL 2K5 or the old Maddens and you like that franchise, is Madden 20 going to have what you want to make you jump to this game and be happy? I don't think so. I don't think it's still going to be there yet. There's still have a lot more to add, and they need to speed up the process, quite frankly. The scenario engine, is it cool that it's there? Absolutely. It's fun. It's nice that it's there, but it's nothing to write home about, at least from what I saw. So that's my opinion. Let me know yours below if you played the beta. Also, if you have any questions, I will answer as many of them as I can below. And as always, I will see you guys next time.